Moving on, Gurugram-based higher education services startup College Dekho has reportedly raised $9 million as part of its extended Series B funding round led by existing investors. Now, prior to this, the startup had raised $9 million in funding from Jainville Limited in December of 2022. The latest investment brings its all-time raise to over $90 million. So what's the fund allocation plan? We put Ruchir Arora, the co-founder and CEO of College Dekho, on the hot seat to ask him just that. Ruchir, thank you so much for taking time out and being on the show with us again. Like I said in the beginning, you've raised $9 million according to reports, so you could, probably confirm that for us. And can you also tell us, how do you plan to put these funds to use? Any new, services on the anvil that we can look forward to?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me again. I think, first of all, a small correction. We've raised close to about 60 million till date, not 90. That's sort of almost 50% more than what we think.
Yeah.
I think this is part of an extended round. We've this was sort of long committed back. It's just that the money came in today, so the news came in today. So we are we've been on our journey as we had started. A lot of that plans were to put this money in growth of operations. And one big agenda in our head was to reach to EBITDA and cash profitability. We're happy to share that we've reached EBITDA profitability and hopefully will be cash positive very soon. And we've seen some good growth, great growth over the last year, and happy to talk more about it.
Absolutely. In fact, you preempted my next question, right? So in FY24, you reported a revenue of about 239 crore rupees. So, what are you hoping to clock in this financial year? Like you just said, you've turned EBITDA profitable. Congratulations on that. But when can we see you fully turn profitable? And where will the next leg of growth come from for College Dekho?
So I think we should reach close to about 300 crores this year. And thank you for the congratulations. I think it was an agenda that we took on our head when we started the last fundraise. The next, I think there are still, to be fair, College Dekho does close to about 100,000 admissions, 1 lakh admissions out of the 1 crore admissions that happen in colleges every year. So we still have a very huge headroom to play. However, we've been starting investing in the huge skilling sector for college students. And I think that's been a big news item across the globe about how skilling is going to be a big role in education going forward. So we've started our own College Dekho branded courses and skilling courses across colleges and universities. Currently, we have close to about 2,000 students enrolled there, but that's a growth engine which is firing very, very strongly for us.
So skilling is the next, a big thing that you are looking at, and that's what you've started on. But you've also claimed to have counseled over 7 million students across test preparation, college discovery, selection guidance, and enrollment, right? So you've collaborated also with about 1,500 colleges. So how do you plan to grow this further? Where are you seeing the most traction at this point between what's already existing for you?
I think the big one here is the fact that even today, close to about 70% of kids in India essentially come from tier 2, tier 3 cities and also go to colleges which are either non-aided or are non-government colleges or private in nature. And I think this is the problem that we're trying to solve, the problem for real Bharat, right? Which is, how do you help this tier 2, tier 3 kid reach the right potential, not only through finding the right college, which as I said, we are just about 1 lakh out of the 70 lakh kids who come from tier 2, tier 3 kids, but also helping these colleges and kids learn better through providing curriculum interventions, etc. So I think both sides of our business are growing fairly rapidly, and hopefully we see a clear window from here to about 3-4 lakh admissions in the next couple of years.
So big room for growth over there. But, speaking of building or doing for Bharat, the recent budget, the government made announcements with significant allocations towards skilling being the big thing there, education as well as youth development. So what do you make of this, and what's the kind of impact you expect?
I think skilling is, it's not a unknown factor. That there are lots of reports that come out every year that say, about 45% of Indian youth is not employable in the first year, or they're not getting the right skills or the right education or skilling-oriented education in the college. And that is the problem that we want to solve. I think the budget is very helpful. I think there's some focus on the fact that we need to make our youth more employable than just getting them degrees. Is, I think, a brilliant focus by the government. and we are essentially trying to play a small part in making sure that this reaches the grassroots level, right?
Absolutely.
At a price point and at the grassroots level where you can get more employable youth and more jobs in the market.
Absolutely. So more jobs in the market. You also recently launched your Heart Report, which highlights that despite increased internet penetration, India's youth are still unable to look for, they're still not looking, they're only looking for education as a keyword instead of focusing their search more around being job oriented. So, what were the key highlights of your report and what kind of skills are, on top of the radar right now?
Unsurprisingly, the computer science is one of the most searched keywords. And courses around computer science, which is sort of expected out of a country like us. There are a few very interesting bits in that. I think the most interesting one is that if you look at the offline world, right, when people do get into education, a lot of people end up doing BCom or BSc or Bachelor of Arts, which consists of almost 60% of our enrollments. But the moment people get exposure to internet and exposure to the quality of information available, the change in trend towards what kind of courses am I searching? So suddenly computer science, surprisingly, nursing is a very big area where people search. Engineering is a big area. MBA is a big area. So that's a huge trend that we've seen. As you get youth exposure to the right quality of content, the fact that he's not stuck if he's in a small city, there are opportunities out there for him or her to make. Suddenly the choice expands, the horizon expands towards more vocational, more job-oriented courses. That's one trend that we have seen.
Right.
Another interesting trend I'm going to take just 30 seconds more. Another interesting trend that we've seen is the fact that people want to do higher education closer to their homes than earlier, right? So that is a trend that we've seen, which is essentially big one after COVID. Earlier, people wanted to migrate to bigger cities. Now they're happy to stay in smaller towns like Lucknow or Agra and pursue higher education.
So people want to stay closer to home at this point. So interesting trends there also, the kind of jobs people are looking at, whether it's engineering or nursing, any of that. So interesting trends out there. All right, Ruchir, thank you so much for taking time out and being on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.